Welcome back to another edition of Between Two Fars. I'm Warneke Miller, and I have been having a fascinating discussion with Ted Rowe, our Chief Counsel at Johnson Space Center's Office of General Counsel. Face it, we've been going through a phenomenal series of transformations, but it's not just the last couple of years. The transformations that NASA has been dealing with have really been slowly trickling through and changing the way we do business for the last 20 to 25 years. And we've started talking about the collateral consequences of these changes, how it actually affects your work as a procurement attorney or as a contracting officer or a contract specialist here at NASA. I wanted to spend some time today with Ted digging a little bit deeper into these consequences and how it affects us and our workforce. Welcome back, Ted. How are you doing today?
Doing good.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of these changes. Last time we talked about the change from owner-operator to customer and how moving from having oversight, making decisions into just having insight into the commercial services we're purchasing really has had to change our mindset and places us from being a sort of the demanding customer into a role of having to be a strategic business partner, not only with the commercial sector, but with our international partners as well. But that's just the surface. What other collateral consequences are we looking at?
Yeah, so there's a lot more consequences that we can talk about. One additional consequence is that when, something's being built by or for NASA, NASA's really, it's the only thing on the critical path. NASA's, actions and milestones are the ones that are on the critical path. But when you bring in international and industry partners, they become on the critical. They are on the critical path now. That NASA basically can rely on what it's doing and have more control. And now that's not necessarily the case. NASA, because we don't have oversight into what industry and international partners are doing, we're not the owners. We have to rely on industry and international partners to deliver what they say they're going to deliver when they say they're going to deliver it. And generally, they've done that very well. So it's worked, but it's a mindset change. It's a collateral consequence based on this change in NASA's acquisition approach, where NASA was the only game in town traditionally. Now NASA has to work with industry and international partners more and more. So that's one additional collateral consequence. Another consequence is that when everything's on NASA, NASA leads research and development based on primarily politics. What Congress tells us, they want us to work on. They want us to go on to the moon. They want to do an asteroid redirect mission. Even down in the SLS, example, they pretty much told us how they wanted the SLS designed. So politics drives technological, research and development at NASA. However, when we're working with industry and industry's our partner, politics doesn't drive industry. Commercial market forces really drive industry primarily. They're in it to make money. They're in it to make a profit. And they're doing it based on their own processes and their requirements when, we're just buying services from them. So that changes. That's a big cultural difference as well in terms of, what's driving the research and development, which leads to just technology development in general. NASA has a very highly structured and formalized, process and protocols in terms of how it conducts technology development, how it develops its space systems. Industry typically doesn't have that. I mean, they're, again, driven by commercial market forces. Time is money for them. So schedule is very important. They need to get their return on investment in a much more compressed schedule. We don't have to worry about return on investment. We have to worry more about politics. So they're motivated to develop technology a whole lot faster and in a less formalized structure. So that can clash. That can clash.
It can. And I'm thinking in terms of safety, how do we address NASA's concerned about safety, industry's concerned about safety, but how do we process our concerns about safety in these two different regimes?
Yeah, that's a good question. Ultimately, it boils down to objective requirements in the contract. But that being said, it requires a completely different perspective. And NASA being the only game in town where NASA's the owner and operator, NASA controls the safety. NASA safety is built into NASA's culture. We're going to have we're going to review things 3 times, 4 times over to make sure that, everything's safe. We're going to build in redundancy, which costs more money. But that's how safety kind of permeates within just the day-to-day operations and design of our systems. That's a completely different, mindset with industry, especially on a fixed price contract. They want to get things done within their fixed price and still leave them room for, their fee, their profit. So they're not going to be as motivated to do the 3-4 times over, create 9.99% redundancy, unless, of course, we build that into the statement of work, which I think we have. We have built in a certain reliability element in our statement of works for our service-based contracts. But it's a different mindset. It's a different mindset for sure.
Now, obviously, the commercial industry has market forces that drive their safety concerns, because if they're known to be a risky company or a company that's not going to be able to maintain safety for the cargo, the satellites, or the people that they're launching, that's going to have a market impact on them and on their company's ability to attract new customers. So I don't think it's to say that industry doesn't have a concern with safety. It's just coming from a different place, maybe.
Absolutely. It's coming from a different place, and it affects their technology development as well. I mean, for SpaceX, in terms of Starship, to build multiple Starships and have them on the assembly line and launch them, and instead of doing simulations, they actually launch it and collect data. And then, of course, the early versions are going to crash and have these huge explosions. They're not delivering on NASA's contract yet, but they're doing the technology development. NASA couldn't do that. No. NASA won't be able to do something like that, and then everybody watching and something blows up. The politics wouldn't allow that kind of technology development paradigm to happen.
Yes.
But yeah, safety plays into technology development and how you do technology development.
Yes. Yeah, while everybody is concerned with safety for the obvious reasons, the value of human life, but on the government side, safety is really driven by politics. You're not going to get your budget allocated to you if you're not safely doing what you're expected to be done, and your entire program can be killed. Market forces, I think, can be as unrelenting, but maybe in a different way. So it will be interesting to see how both industry and government adapt as we transform into this new way of doing business and interacting with each other as strategic business partners. Well, Ted, I know that we've been talking about these collateral consequences, but I don't think we're quite done yet, because there's some more very specific procurement related aspects I'd love to talk to you about. Why don't we come back next time and talk a little bit more about those collateral consequences?
Sounds good.
All right. Join us again next time between two FARs.